everybody. Wow. Hear that? Silence. It's a rare thing in my house to have silence. You can hear the ticking of a clock in the background. It's kind of jarring. You probably can't hear that. I don't know how sensitive the mic is, but anyway. Hello, welcome to Storytime with Uncle Jeremy. This is the first, I've sounded like really down or mellow. I don't know, I'm not all that jazzed up. I should be a little more excited, I guess, but because it's so quiet, I feel weird. If I get all excited and jump up and down, it's not going to be quiet anymore. Anyway, welcome to Storytime with Uncle Jeremy, a podcast in which I tell stories. I am Jeremy, your host, and what else do you need to know? Okay, well, it's a Rich Mullins kind of day. Been listening to some Rich Mullins in the car, and while I was cleaning things up to get ready to do this show. Rich Mullins is fun stuff. He passed away like 20-some years ago now, and still moves me with his music. In fact, my favorite song right now, I have lots of favorites by him, so I don't really have an exclusive deal with this particular one, but this one tonight really was good. It's Peace off of Liturgy, a Legacy, and a Ragamuffin Band, which some would consider his magnum opus, and I'd be inclined to agree with that assessment, although I do particularly like his Jesus record, The Demos. Not the one where all of his friends recorded the songs after he had passed away, but the demos, because there's a raw emotion in those records that in those songs that doesn't translate well to the polished production that his friends did for the actual Jesus record. But anyway, I digress. I like that stuff, though. I really do. If you're a Pentecostal Christian or a charismatic Christian, like I am, I don't know if you've noticed a trend that sort of, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it. So don't take this as my 100% opinion, but I've found that a lot of modern worship is kind of like vapid and me focused, and I'm not going to say any particular artist or group or whatever. Just I've been thinking about that. I like I've begun to turn a page on the hymns, and really, really like old hymns, and I like Rich Mullins, who has been dead for a while. I digress. It's a Rich Mullins day. It really is. But that's not why I'm here. I'm actually. It's been a while since I did my last episode. See, I'm out of practice, which is why I'm stumbling over my words. Maybe, I don't know. Since my last show, I think I did some in February of this year. In 2019, I did a couple episodes. I'm not all that disciplined. If you haven't noticed, I'm not very consistent. I haven't built up a habitual podcasting habit, and that's life's busy, very busy. If you don't know me, a little introduction. I'm a father of 4. I have 4 kids. I'm married, and I have a full-time job at a Institute of Higher Learning here where I live. I live in the Rochester, New York area. If you're familiar with that, it's about to start getting cold with some snow, and every year around November, there seems to be when November starts, there's 2 big challenges among the creative community. There's the National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo, which I have attempted a few times. I've never actually finished NaNoWriMo. And there's also the No Shave November, but I've been celebrating that for months. I have a big beard, and I trim it when I get a chance. When I start looking like a grizzly bear, I trim that down. But I don't. I think it's for prostate cancer awareness or testicular cancer awareness, something like that. One of the typically guy cancers. That's why guys are growing out their beards to raise awareness for cancer. But that's No Shave November. And then there's this little thing that I've been doing. I did it successfully 2 years ago, and then I tried it last year, and then this year I'm going to try to do it again. It's National Podcast Posting Month, and that's NaPodPoMo. It's the first time I haven't struggled with the acronym, or it's like a pseudo acronym because it's like a bunch of like extra letters, not just the first ones. But NaPodPoMo, National Podcast Posting Month. But I am a rebel. That's right, I'm a rebel, Dottie. Points if you know what I'm referencing there. I'm a rebel, and I call it Podvember because as a guy who grew up listening to the radio when they would name months, like Rocktober or Maytalica, things like that. Podvember just rolls off the tongue much easier than NaPodPoMo. So, but this is for National Podcast Posting Month. If you're listening to that through the NaPodPoMo feed, thank you for listening and giving me a shot. I'm hoping to successfully complete another month of podcasting with NaPodPoMo, and if that's why you're here, thank you for listening. I'm excited to entertain you, and I hope that this is that I've kept your attention through the talk of worship music and all that other stuff, because I'm not going to just talk about that. I don't podcast about my faith all that much, mostly because I'm just a normal guy. I don't have a I don't think that my theological underpinnings sort of affect my ability to talk about other things. I think my faith sort of permeates my life, and so I'll probably mention things that I learned in church or things like that. But for the most part, this is a podcast where I'm going to tell stories, and where I'm going to I'll talk about some things in my life that I want to share. Typically, what I'm reading or what I'm watching and things like that. But I do have notes. I haven't even accessed them yet and looked at them. But I'm going to start off by talking about something called regret. You ever experienced regret, doubt, or fear, and any negative emotion at all? Have you ever experienced that? I know I have. I can't be alone. Of course, that's a pretty silly question, and I know I'm not alone. Everybody feels doubt at one point in their life. They feel regret or fear in their life, and if you have doubts about that statement, just go to any bookstore or library and look at any self-help shelf. There's shelves of books on feeling doubt or fear or negative emotions or regret. You'll find what's could be considered a metric ton of advice from folks who have tried and failed, only to find some secret formula for success that if you can part with some of your hard-earned money, they're willing to share it with you. Yeah, so doubt, fear, regret, I've felt them all, and I know I'm among friends. See, I talked about earlier that in 2017 I successfully completed Podvember, or NaPodPoMo, however you want to talk about it. I successfully completed it in 2017, and it really, really felt good. I only missed one day, and I missed one day. I don't know why, because it was, I think, in the middle of the month that I missed one day. It wasn't even Thanksgiving. I had planned, and I was able to do it for the most part. I think I got a bronze medal. If you finish it once, that's a bronze finish right there. It's a challenge. It's fulfilling though, because once you finish something, you really feel good about yourself. Especially something in the creative, you feel good, and I kind of wanted to experience that again. So I tried it again in 2018, but I was neck deep in a giant project when November 1st came around. I was in the middle of what is referred to in academia, at least where I went to school, as the capstone project. I was an adult student. I had one project that I had to do in order to get my bachelor's degree, and I was in the middle of that, getting ready for that. And I thought, I'll try to do Podvember again because I'm insane. And I was just going to get to work on it. And I recorded a couple of episodes, 2 days. I struck out. To add another metaphor, I bit off more than I can chew, and I choked. Now, excuses, they're really easy to make, and I had plenty of them, but I'm not going to do that. I failed last year, and I regret that. The upside, I did finish my capstone project, got an A, and I got my bachelor's degree, but that's besides the point. See, I still regret failing, though. And regret is like a slow-acting poison. It can kill you after a while. It really can. Not literally. I don't like the overuse of the term literal, but regret will kill you after a while. It will kill any desire you have to try to finish something. And regret, it's sort of, it's like the first domino in a chain reaction because it feeds resentment, which feeds fear of failure and gives you reason to believe your own doubts, because regret, of course, is an easily addictive drug. And I've lived with regret for a long time. See, one such regret is that 2-episode run that I had during Podvember 2018. And it's kind of embarrassing, right? One antidote to regret is getting back up. Now, I fell off the Podvember horse and tasted the dirt beneath its hooves. I have a choice, obviously. I can stay down and get trampled or get back up. So I'm choosing to get back up. And I'm doing Podvember this year. In previous years, my goal was simple. It's no different now. I'm a creative guy. My LinkedIn profile actually reads that I'm a creative generalist. I came up with that. And I don't really know what that means. But it kind of sounds good. Creative generalist. Now, I write. I've done stand-up comedy. I've worked as a graphic designer. I've produced videos. I've produced podcasts. And I've made about $10 doing it. I've lost a lot more money. Actually, saying I made money is sort of a lie. If I added up the gas and the money I've spent and all that, I would say I've made nothing. I've lost money. But like most creative people, the need to make something out of nothing sort of builds up inside of them until they open up the valve and let some of it out. Some people find it really easy. They get into needlepoint or painting or scrapbooking. All those are very creative hobbies, and some people actually make money doing them. But others incorporate some of that creative stuff into their jobs, offering design flyers from meetings or a website or something. I do a little bit of that, but there are always the few that are able to do creative work for a living. And those folks are like unicorns. I'm no unicorn. But I need some kind of creative outlet once in a while, and podcasting is one way for me to open up that valve. So this month, I hope to produce a show every day in November. That's 30 shows. One show every day. Some of them will be new episodes of my other shows, Because I Said So, which is a podcast I do with my sons, and Mind the Gaps, which is a movie podcast. But mostly they'll just be me, a microphone, which is attached to a recorder, and my thoughts. Now, I have a list of topics I hope to cover, but there might be a few things that come out of left field that I'll want to talk about. It depends on the day, right? And I really hope you stick with me. My promise is that I'll stick with you. And if I fall off that horse, I'll pray that I get trampled, because that horse's name is regret. And I think I've established that regret is pretty awful.